Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
Portal, because then you have the local games, you have, it even says it has the options for PlayStation 5 games. But what's going on, everybody? We are live with Super PlayStation Bros coming at you with PlayStation First news. I'm joined, as always, with Doragon, leveling up the podcast as always, bringing in that platinum trophy. How are you doing this morning / afternoon, good sir?
I'm well, my friend. It is so nice to have you back. I'm glad you're feeling better this week. You were missed last week. The show was missed. I got many angry messages. Where are you? Why aren't you online? And all that sort of stuff. So glad you're feeling better. Glad you're back with us. Man, just glad to be here. It's all good, man. Life is good.
Yes,
We've got stuff to be talking about.
It's PlayStation time. We've got a boatload of news. There's so much happening in the PlayStation world, from state of play to days of play, plus, as always, news, rumors, and leaks. Yes, we see it in the chat. PSP3, what? We'll be talking about so many other things. But like I usually like to start this show, what have you been gaming on this week? Because I've actually shut the door on a couple games this week, so I feel happy about that.
Well, it's a couple of weeks since last we spoke, so there's been a lot of gaming. Yesterday there were 2 new launches, so there was Destiny 2's The Final Shape. I played a little bit of that this morning before work. I'm basically still in the first mission. I've not got very far, but I'm enjoying the feel of it so far. I also played Beat Saber's original soundtrack 7 last night, which released around 4 p.m. my time. So as I finished work, new Beat Saber content, that was great to get into. I've opened the door on Tiger Blade as well, one of the other PSVR 2 titles that have been on my radar for a while. That came on sale as part of the Days of Play sale that we'll be getting into a little bit later. So pick that up for about £14. Been having an absolute whale of a time with that one. It's been great. There's been Big Shots VR. There's been some Ghost of Tsushima. There's been so many games. It's been 2 whole weeks. But yeah, that Tiger Blade has really shot to the top of being a game that I really like playing, that I'm really enjoying my time in. So yeah, that's sort of the highlight of the last 2 weeks. I'm about to dive deep into Destiny 2, so that's probably going to be the next couple of weeks. What about yourself, mate? What are those doors that you've closed?
The Final Shape, which we will get into. What is the final shape? Is it triangle,
It's
square,
a square.
circle, or X? It's square. Spoiler alert.
Square.
And sorry about the chat. Oh my gosh, I need to fix the chat. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but it looks like odd with the background and the big text. I don't know what's happening there, but thanks everyone for coming on by. Hope everyone's doing well. We appreciate everyone coming in to chat this morning. But yes, the games that I've closed the door on. Stellar Blade. Oh my gosh. Without spoilers, one of the most epic endings in a single player game I have seen to date. I don't
Wow.
know of a
Okay.
better ending. And just by my gut, I went and I accessed the true ending just by following the decisions that I felt were best. I got all the right steps done. I made the right choices, and it unlocked an ending that I was just flabbergasted, blown away. Bravo
Nice.
for the studios there. I give them kudos. It's an absolute blast of a game, and it's accessible too. If you're scared of difficulty level, they have a story mode, an easy mode. It lets you really slow things down. They even pause when you should dodge or pause when you should block. So I really think that this is a Souls game with legs. It's like if Sekiro had an easy mode. But you can still take it on hard mode, and it's still a lot of fun. Stellar Blade gets aces marks from me for being amazing combat and gameplay, great action adventure, and an epic story, a good story. Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, it gets. I haven't given a chef's kiss in a long time, to be honest.
This is true.
But
This is true.
Stellar Blade gets a chef's kiss. And you know what else I closed the door on that gets chef's kiss? Two chef's kiss are coming today. Astro's Playroom. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Now, I have a question before you get into this.
Yes.
How have you got to owning a PlayStation 5 for nearly 2 years at this point without playing Astro's Playroom that is pre-installed on it when you buy it?
I'll tell you why. Because Horizon Forbidden West existed. So as soon as I got my PlayStation 5, I said, well, Horizon Forbidden West for the next 3 months. That's what happened. I just got back to Astro's Playroom because of, obviously, the announcements we had today. I got through the game. It's an absolute love letter to PlayStation. Oh, you go through the entire history. You go through your console. And it's a lovely game. It's just cute, adorable, and the little PlayStation characters all around. And it just pumped me up for the next one coming in. But there'll be lots to chat about. I did end up finishing that game. Whether I go back for the platinum, we'll see. It's just cute enough of a game that you may have to do something like that. But loved it. Look forward to Team Asobi doing another one.
Yeah, Astro's Playroom was my first PlayStation 5 Platinum. I absolutely adored that game. There were so many throwbacks. The secret level as well, which if you haven't unlocked yet, I won't spoil for you. But you were there at the start, you did. Excellent. So being there with the T-Rex tech demo from the original PlayStation 1. Fantastic.
Is that its reference? I didn't know what
That's
the reference was.
Yeah, it's the original tech demo of the original PlayStation. That is how it was shown off of how powerful it was, how good it was, how much better than everything else on the market. I loved Astro's Playroom. Such a good game. Really showed off the DualSense controller and the PlayStation 5 incredibly well. Epic load speeds, epic feedback, resistive triggers, everything you hear about with the console, all of the good points. Astro shows it off like no other game on the console does. The only thing that's come close is Returnal, and that was a year later and a very different genre of game. So I'm very, very glad you finally got through it because I adore that title. It's unironically one of my favorite on the system.
Here's me playing Astro's Playroom. One thing I will say, yes, before we move on to the thing, we're moving there. When I was playing it, I unlocked the DualSense controller, and I was like, oh, it should have been updated because I had the DualSense Edge in my hand. But let's get on to what's happening in the state of play. We have the first game, let's start talking about, is a game from Firesprite. Oh man, yes. My memory just blanked there, and it said, you're not sure about this. Yes, it is Firesprite. And we saw Concord. So there's a lot of mixed reviews coming out of Concord. I truly believe that this is an innovation. Firewalk, not Firesprite.
Firewalk, sorry. There is a Fire
Yes.
Sprite Studio. I think they're VR, aren't they?
They may be, yeah. So, what I find awesome about this game, one, I think what they're doing with cinematic vignettes, all right? This is something that I have not seen done to games in a little bit. Destiny 2 does something very similar, but I feel like this level of Guardians of the Galaxy, high production, deep characters, this will be something that Sony does excellent with storytelling, and it may bring people back just to simply follow the story and watching what these cinematic vignettes have to say. I truly think that that is a essential part that shouldn't be overlooked when talking about Concord. And I see Wibble hyping in right now. Pointless. Overwatch did it. What do you? Yeah, but did Sony produce the cinematic vignettes? All right, Sony has the piece de resistance when it comes to storytelling. All right, they are the forefront of Shakespeare when it comes to keeping audience engaged, locked into what these characters are doing and the world they're creating. I wouldn't put anything past the storytelling of Sony. Dorgon, what were your initial thoughts when it came to Concord?
Well, it wasn't Shakespeare, so I wasn't getting the skull out like to be or not to be. That is the question. Wherefore art thou be my answer? Uh, I'm sort of in a mixed bag with Concord. On the one hand, it's a hero shooter. We've had a lot of hero shooters. They're all generally pretty good. You can't go too wrong with them. We've just had one from Marvel. We've got Overwatch 2, as you've already mentioned. There's one, it's came before Realm Royale did. I can't remember its proper name. It's something Realm. That was a fun free-to-play hero shooter that I played quite a bit with Crash Echo and a few others. So, there's definitely space on the market for competition. There's definitely space for another hero shooter. It looks more interesting to my style of gameplay in terms of the actual combat mechanics and such. So that had my personal tastes whetted a little bit. The vignettes, as you say, they look great. But again, I don't need to be in the game to watch them because they'll be uploaded to YouTube by 1,700 people the moment they go live. So if I want to stay up to date with them, I can just jump onto YouTube and watch them there. But the thing that sort of sold this to me, and it's going to sound very, very weird when I say this, is I have a iffy feeling about this one. I think it's not going to be great. That's my general feelings. But that feeling that I have about Concord is the identical gut feeling to what I had about Helldivers 2. I thought it was going to please a subset of people really well and then not land well with basically everybody else. And Helldivers 2 took off. So to have that exact same gut feeling about Concord as I had about Helldivers 2, it puts it in a camp of it could be something great. I want to see more. I hope they have a beta of some description at some point, or a server test so that we can jump on and get hands-on with it. Because it's all well and good seeing this. Shooters, it depends how they play as to how good they are. I think there's going to be an opportunity for this to carve out its own niche in the market.
Wibble, do not put that bad juju on Concord. It is not going to be like Foam Stars, all right? This game will have legs. I think there is a definite hole in the console universe when it comes to these hero shooters. I mean, to my mind, and I'm not big on the PvP universe, but I can't think of a hero shooter that's on the console right now, that's active live, that I could jump into.
Overwatch 2.
Is that on console?
It is. It's also free to play.
It's free to play on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So here's what they're doing. Then they're just taking in on that market. They're bringing something solo to it. I think Sony has the ability to take those players, bring it new. It feels like something that you're getting out of the finals where they're evolving the PvP experience. And I think they're going to be able to do that through the hero shooter. Will it be a slam dunk? I mean, that's hard to say. You take a risk when you create this stuff. But hopefully you're able to lock in your audience. The best way they could possibly do this is give it to people on PS Plus, but they're not going to do that. We are going to get a premium. We're getting a pre-order, I believe, available early July, and then that'll get you access to the beta.
I don't like the idea because, especially through PlayStation, you have to pay for a pre-order up front with a digital pre-order. And unless you're getting a code for, say, a physical pre-order elsewhere, I really don't like that because I'm having to pay to get access, and then getting a refund is a pain in the arse through PlayStation. It's basically impossible. So, not a huge fan of that. There needs to be something open. There needs to be a demo, a trial, something along those lines. But yeah, there's possibilities with this. There's hope. I don't think it's an immediate write-off like I have done for quite a while, but my gut feeling is it has the opportunity to succeed and fail in a catastrophic way in either direction. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I feel like this game is not necessarily for the me gamer, but I have to appreciate that it looks like they're pushing their storytelling abilities and they're really trying to gather people around a PvP element, which I think Sony wants and they're looking to get and they're hungry for. So this is just one of their showings, one of their investments, and let's see how it does before we overly criticize. I think it does have a lot of strong elements to it, and people who enjoy PvP may really like this game. We're not sure what the balancing is going to be like or how the gameplay is going to be.
It's going to be one of those hands-on experiences. Once you've got your hands on with it, you can then talk, and if there's good word of mouth, it'll spread well. So fingers crossed, because competition's good, and the hero shooter space, until the last couple of months, has been very, very quiet and very dreary because it's basically been Overwatch, which has been an absolute catastrophe since launch. So, yeah, we need an injection of new stuff there.
Also, PlayStation runs a lot of internal tournaments for their PlayStation users. I mean, this is just a game that they are going to center around one of their tournaments. You see it going on now with soccer, I believe is happening with a PlayStation Live tournament. So this is maybe more of their, we want to take hold, we want to own the IPs we run these tournaments for, and instead of doing Overwatch stuff, let's do our own. Let's do Concord and bring all those people who love the tournament space into this. So I think that's their strategy, and I think it's going to do well for them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but
I
am more interested than I was. I am not hyped. Does that make sense?
If I was a betting man, I'd bet the house on Concord.
I would say you'd probably lose that house, but that's the joy of having different opinions.
All right. Well, there is a lot of good things to say. Did you want any closing thoughts on Concord before we move out to the next subject? Oh, so pre-orders June 6th, and you get the beta early access, and that's what it provides you. So those are the dates.
Okay. So beta early access. So beta will be accessible as an open option further down the line. I think that's going to be very important for this game.
Yes.
As long as it delivers, it can have legs.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes, and I look forward to hearing people's first impressions as soon as they get a hold of the game. I think that's going to be the real telltale. Let's jump into what they covered on next in the State of Play. I know both of us aren't PC gamers, so I'm not sure how much we're going to have to say on PC God of War Ragnarok, other than it's great to see. Obviously, they're able to up the fidelity if you're able to purchase your own hardware and build your own gaming console or gaming PC. And I'm happy that they're able to bring it up for people who want that high-end experience. So, yeah.
For me, God of War Ragnarok is still the most perfect game I have ever played. Nothing has come close to it since, in terms of storytelling, in terms of mechanics, in terms of emotional connection, in terms of the way it lives in your mind, the longevity that it has with an individual. The free DLC update of Valhalla was absolutely sodding incredible. That was a better DLC than most of the games in 2023 for me personally. I cannot speak highly enough of this title, and I cannot wait for PC players to get their hands on it, to do some stupid mods with it. I want to see Homer Simpson beating the snot out of Thor.
No, I don't like mods. I'm anti-mod. God of War. You just said God of War was
funny.
Was the Mona Lisa of games, all right? And then you're gonna go slap a Homer's.
Have you seen the Mona Lisa? The Mona Lisa
No.
is nothing to write home about. Honestly, you stand there in this tiny corner of the Louvre. It is nothing to write home about. God of War is something so much better, so much bigger, so much more complete. It's incredible. I love Ragnarok. I am excited for PC players. I cannot wait for them to get hold of it. I cannot wait for them to experience it and to have that feeling that I had with it in 2022.
Oh, well, Jem, thanks for coming in onto the chat. No need to troll. We know you're a huge fan of PlayStation. Seen you on the Helldivers. And we got Phoenix also chiming in there as well. You guys are awesome in chat, and we do appreciate you coming out, hanging out with us every week. Coming up next on the roster, we have Dynasty Warriors. Oh, I'm getting it. Okay, I will be able to take that later. Dynasty Warriors.
I was like,
sorry, lost my train of thought. What do you think of Dynasty Warriors? Obviously, the next one in the saga. I believe they have like 50 of these games already. Massive open world combat. I played it back in the day, but never was huge into the series. It's a different type of play style. It's not necessarily for everyone, but it's huge strategic placement of your troops with massive amounts of armies. And this is just the next iteration.
I love the gameplay of Dynasty Warriors. I absolutely adore it in its One Piece guise. You've got One Piece Pirate Warriors 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's the story of the One Piece manga and anime just in a video game. And you get to live out some crazy, wacky scenarios. Like, if you look at this trailer, you've got one guy absolutely decimating a full army. Like, that's not realistic, but it's a game. It's great. It's fun. It puts the power in the hands of the player. I don't know whether this particular one is for me. I might wait until, say, Pirate Warriors 5 with the One Piece flavor on it. But it's great fun gameplay. Like, they nail the feeling of power. They nail the feeling of fluidity. They nail the feeling of being a badass on the battlefield in every single one of these games. And a new one is not a bad thing. It's going to please a lot of people. I just don't know if it's one that's going to please me because of the skin that's on it and the story that's being told. But yeah, these games are great. Nothing bad to say about Dynasty Warriors. I don't think there's been a bad one at any point. They can get a bit repetitive if you've played all of them, but if it's been a while, looks like a great one to get back into.
Awesome. Thanks for that perspective. Yes, the genre does have its fans, so it definitely has a place on the console in the next iteration. A big sleeper of the show, which I don't think people really took with much gravity when they first came across it, was this Infinity Nikki, right? Is that the name of the game? Dorgon's confirming.
I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say.
Okay. Well, apparently this video has garnered over 2 million views on YouTube. This is apparently close to a Breath of the Wild style game. And I was absolutely shocked to see that. Yeah, apparently this is going to be a very popular game, well made, and it's got a lot of people wanting to play it. Infinity Nikki. And it's got photo mode.
There we go.
Can't hate a game with photo mode.
And it's got photo mode. That just makes any game like a 10 out of 10 in your book now, doesn't it? It's got photo mode.
Although Stellar Blade didn't have a photo mode. But I understand why people would have abused that.
Yeah. Look, this isn't a game for me. I can say that straight off the bat. It looks very akin to Breath of the Wild, as you said, and I didn't get on with Breath of the Wild. I just could not get into it. I restarted it 6 or 8 times. I put 20 plus hours into it because everybody said how incredible it was. Me and Breath of the Wild, we don't mix. So that doesn't enamor this to me. It's also got that Genshin Impact feel to it, so I don't know whether there's going to be a gacha mechanic to it or anything like that. So is it going to be like a new Wuthering Waves? Is it going to be a new Genshin? Is it going to be a new Honkai? It's not one that speaks to me, but there is obviously a huge audience out there that it does speak to. It looks incredibly well made. It looked to be running really smoothly. I don't know if it's coming to other platforms as well, but if they are taking advantage of the loading speeds,
I just looked
and
it up
haptics
for Gem.
It's going to be a good game. All of these types of titles out of these types of studios generally are. It's just whether you've got 16,000 hours to pump into it every week so that you don't miss out on the FOMO stuff. But it looks like it's going to play really well. Like I say, not for me, but again, it's bringing variety to the console. It's bringing games to the console that people are going to want to play, and that's important. It's not all about what I want. It's not all about what you want. It's about what every player on that console wants.
It's kind of
looks like one that's going to do numbers.
It's kind of about everything I want, but that's just because I live in my own head a lot of the time. Infinity Nikki is due to launch on PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, iOS, and Android.
So definitely that Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves
you're seeing
type game.
A mobile game crossover to PC and console, essentially. I guess that's the direction they're taking it in. So we have the next game coming up, Ballad of Altera, I believe this one was called, if I can remember correctly.
So, yeah.
It's, I believe, an open sort of, it's a co-op boss battle type of game. It was described very oddly to me. It looks extremely beautiful, well done, polished. The boss battles look like what I like to see, where they're huge and the arena is very well done, produced. It seems like you're different heroes as you play as different characters, so that may be the multiplayer options. You're sort of these operators and you go in to fight these bosses. But that's what I am seeing out of the trailer here. But yeah, I think experimenting with different game styles is something that we need to see more of. This seems like a Souls-esque game. It is being described as not a Souls game. So yeah, I'd be interested to see how this plays out and what kind of angle they're taking.
I'm very intrigued by this one. It's one of those where the trailer catches your eye, but there's not a lot more information, as you said. It was described very weirdly, like a boss battler type thing. That to me shouts Shadow of the Colossus and Ico a little bit, but it's a very... It's like photorealistic, but not photorealistic. Does that make any form of sense to anybody? Because it doesn't to me. It looks incredible. It looks absolutely beautiful. And I don't know. I'm thinking this could be something. I need to see more. There's not enough in that trailer and in the information that's been released to say, oh yeah, this is a definite buy for me personally. And also, money's a bit tight, so it's got to stand above and beyond others to actually win my cash. But very interesting. It caught my eye, this one. I think that's the best I can say on it at the moment. I hope it's good. Again, more variety. We like variety. It's the spice of life. It keeps loads of different types of people interested. Intriguing.
It's an upcoming multi-platform dark fantasy ARPG. So that's kind of what it's described as. So it's not
Diablo
going down
style.
Yeah, it's not going down that Souls vein. It's more of a action RPG. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Diablo is described, Path of Exile is described as an ARPG as well. But this seems like a more behind the shoulder sort of Sony
More
perspective.
third person, yeah. I prefer the perspective on that. The top down ones, your
Yeah.
Diablos, your Path of Exiles, those your Vampire Survivors and co. I can't get on with them, mostly because they handle horribly on console. So yeah, I would be much happier with a third person perspective.
Well, let's strap on our VR helmets and get into Skydance's Behemoth. So, I believe this was earlier PC release, now coming to the PlayStation 2 headset, coming from Skydance. Hey, this is a more fleshed out VR experience, in my opinion, than experience I've seen previously with the Oculus. Now, Saints and Sinners being one of those, it felt like I was inside a Nintendo 64 game. This looks more like a real world. You're moving around, you're navigating, you have swords, weapons, there's enemies, there's combat. It just seems more fleshed out to me, and I'd like to see VR moving in this forward progression. Thoughts and feelings?
I had challenges with this one. As a concept, as a game, the gameplay, the interaction, all looks fantastic. Skydance do really good VR titles. I've got no worries about what sort of quality gameplay they are bringing to it. But I was watching this trailer and I was noticing massive frame rate swings in the trailer. Frame rate swings like that in VR will floor you. They absolutely bring on instantaneous and severe travel sickness, motion sickness. They are not good, and if you're getting that in the trailer, what is that going to be like in the final product? That needs to be ironed out. I need to see better gameplay promotions of it prior to launch for this to be anywhere on my radar. I want to like it. The gameplay looks great. The thematics, the aesthetics, they all look great. They look fantastic. But those frame rate swings in a trailer for a VR title is not good enough. It needs to be much more stable before I will look anywhere near this game.
Well, hopefully it gets that patch early on in its life cycle to be able to provide that. Let's jump into the next VR title of two that they released for us, and that is a more horror direction. I think the genre of horror is definitely lend to VR, and this is a franchise that I think a lot of people wanted to see out of a VR game, and that is Aliens. So get ready to be creeped out. Nope.
Nope. Nope.
By Alien Rogue Insurrection. So do you think this will be a rogue game? You'll go through levels and it'll be random generation, and you'll have to like get supplies and get out type of thing. That's what whenever you put rogue in the title, I mean that's kind of the way you're going, right?
That didn't happen with Assassin's Creed Rogue. That didn't happen with a bunch of other things with Rogue in the title. It's not always the case. Just because the Rogue Prince of Persia is a roguelike,
it is.
It doesn't mean every game with it in the title is one.
And it's hard. I've been playing it.
I think this is going to be something like Colonial Marines in VR. That was a
okay.
Spooky. What was it? Colonial Marine. There was one back in the PS3 360 era that was absolutely incredible, and then one that was god awful almost immediately after it. This looks like the incredible one, which was scary as all heck on a flat screen, and you now want to throw me in 360-degree surround sound everything. This is the only horror franchise on the planet that I have ever jumped out of my skin for. The rest bore me to tears. I'm going nowhere near this, and that's a great thing, because it means they're doing their job well. So for those who can take that sort of horror, this is going to be an incredible experience. For me, nope, I'm out. I'm done. Nope, walking away.
Listen, if you put Rogue in a title, there's a certain expectation nowadays, all right? You can't just make something called Rogue 2 and it's a 5v5, all right? No.
You
If you
can.
have no, it's a
Hades
rule.
is not. Hades is a roguelike without rogue in the title.
That's fine,
Returnal
but
is a
you can't.
roguelike without rogue in the title.
That's fine, but you can't have rogue in the title and not be a rogue game because the words have power, all right? And it's time to appreciate the power, okay? We can't just start coming up with games that are not called that are called rogue and they don't have rogue elements. No.
We're back to your Kevin thing and your mouse and keyboard is not a gaming
They are the
input
hey,
thing and all this sort of
show me both of
crazy
them in
hot
the
take.
same room. Show me both.
Oh,
Show me Jim
yes.
Ryan and that other guy in the same room.
I don't even know his name. You can't make it point if you don't know his
The
name.
VP of Sony for those commercials.
Oh, dude, you keep it entertaining. You do.
All
These
right.
games. It was nice to see PSVR 2 at the state of play. What I will say is, it is disappointing to only have 2 games at the state of play
Yes.
for PSVR 2. There's a lot coming out for the headset. There's a lot of good experiences on it, a lot of varied experiences, but they're not pushing it. Sony aren't pushing PSVR 2. That disappoints me. Just look at the adapter that came out this week. So they've announced an adapter this week after the state of play. Why wasn't that in the state of play alongside these games? Oh yeah, you can buy these games and also play your PSVR 2 on PC as well. So yeah, there's now an adapter that allows you to play the headset on PC, which I think is great. It's a way to shift more PSVR 2 headsets. It's a way for more people to look at development for the PSVR 2 headset. But then that adapter doesn't allow them to take advantage of the haptics, resistive triggers, 3D audio, and all the cool stuff of the headset, like the eye tracking. It's like,
yeah,
you're sort of half-arsing it with this, Sony, and this is a bit of hardware that needs you to full-arse it, not half-arse it. So I want them to pull their finger out. I love my PSVR 2. I love the experiences that I've had on it. I don't feel like I have been done dirty by the purchase. But I do want more from it. I want more moving forward, and I want them to bring experiences that are unique to that headset as well, like Synapse, like Call of the Mountain, like Tiger Blade and Co. We need more from them, and I don't want to see this be another PS Vita situation.
Here's where I see they could have done better. They should have done better in the boardroom in terms of why not bring the Steam VR app into the PlayStation 5? Therefore, you don't need an expensive PC to be able to run these games. You would be able to run them on, set them up to your PC, or would they be optimized for PlayStation? But unfortunately, that's not the case. We can't just grab these things from the PlayStation library because the point of the PSVR 2 was that you didn't need to go out to buy a computer to have these experiences. And I just think this was a bit of a boardroom kerfuffle. And now it's a second use, but it's more for PC gamers. This is a PC option now, and it left the console space. So I hope Tony won't do that, Rue. Don't be talking silly sense. Okay.
No, he's saying don't be silly by talking sense.
Yeah,
he makes a valid point. He makes a very valid point. You and I will talk sense. We will sit here and we will talk about all these choices and what would make more sense for the consumer. But right now, every megacorp, every gaming corporation out there sees that sense, understands what a great foot forward, amazing, excellent, positive news cycle it would create, and goes, "Nah, let's do the other thing that just costs people more money." Like,
exactly.
That's why I was laughing. He's so on point with that comment. Don't be silly by talking sense. So on point.
Unfortunately, this is the state we're in. It's just massive shortcuts, and they let the headset down. I think bringing the app into the PlayStation 5, having these games be PS5 compatible, maybe you don't get all the library, but you offer these people incentives to bring it on to PlayStation. I think that would have been the route to go on because this PlayStation headset was supposed to give you VR experience without the PC. So it's a bit of a loss.
It's just we need more of them.
Yeah. So, if anything, this just carries the library for now. You're still going to get games. It may not be as many, but you get expanded library if you have access to a PC.
You do, yeah. It gives you more functionality out of the headset you've already purchased, which is great. And if you are a PC gamer, it gives you a really low barrier to entry for 4K VR, which otherwise you're spending well over $1,000, £1,000 for. So I kind of think this is going to be good for the headset in the long run. It just depends whether developers bring it the opposite way and bring stuff to PlayStation from the PC side, or develop simultaneously for both. I think it'll do good for the hardware. I don't know how well it'll do for the software. I was hoping for more from this ability, because if you're developing for a headset that has all of those features, but then those features aren't being utilized on PC, it's weird. Yeah, it's major questions on that one. Anyhow, what's next on the list of the games from the State of Play before I get angry at Sony?
I was like, there's no way we'll run out of time. I'm like, we're going to run out of time before we finish the showcase.
We're going to run out of time.
Yeah. Marvel released their Overwatch, because let's get into the Overwatch. Listen, this is what the people are doing. They're sitting in a boardroom, they're seeing the trends of gaming, and they're saying, let's fill that trend that we see coming up with games we think will grab people. And that is Marvel's Rivals. So this was concocted, I believe, in a boardroom. I mean, this is nobody's passion project to create this game. Maybe it is. But you have it. I feel like this is for a generation of people who grew up on Fortnite, and maybe they're moving to a more competitive scene. But this does not grab me in any way, and not only that, it just feels like the graphics are kind of being held back. Like, this is nothing new that I've seen, but that's my opinion on it.
I kind of agree a little bit. When this was first announced, like, oh, we've got the Marvel IP, we're doing a competitive game with it. That sounded great. Like, if you take the powers of these characters and put them up against one another, that could be a very interesting mix of ideas. But yeah, it's something doesn't feel right with it. I've watched a few people play games on it. I saw that NDA that you had to sign to be able to get into the creator program for it, which said you cannot say anything negative about the game, which immediately starts a flashing siren, red lights, red flags. This ain't gonna go well. It looks like art style and graphically the same as Realm Reborn, which is a 10-year-old game at this point. I don't know, it's probably not one for me, but I do think there's going to be an audience for it, especially with it being a free-to-play game. Yes, the microtransaction prices are going to be absolutely through the roof, completely extortionate, but it's free-to-play, so people are going to play it. They're going to give it a try, and they're going to make their own decisions on it, and that is the most you can ask for sometimes in a game, to be able to form your own decision upon it. It's free-to-play. I'm going to play it. I'm going to find out if my thoughts looking at it track when I've actually gone hands-on with it. You're going to play it because it's free to play, and people that you play with are going to be playing it. So we can all form our own decisions and take it from there.
Hey, Any Yoke, thanks for coming on by. I appreciate you stopping on the podcast. Any Yoke is a fellow content creator. Awesome person to watch. Definitely give her a like and follow. Definitely worth it. We're talking PlayStation, and I'm definitely going to be logging in to get this Scarlet Spider costume. Oh, how cool is that? That's definitely what I'm going to be rocking.
It's not the Scarlet Spider. It's a Scarlet Spider that they've made up. It's not the Scarlet Spider.
No. It's part of the multiverse, right? They got hundreds.
That ain't Kane. That's not Kane. Nor is it Ben Reilly, one of the two actual Scarlet Spiders. Like, they had two Scarlet Spider costumes to choose from, and they made their own weird one. But it does look sick. I'll give them that much. It looks ace.
Yeah. And you're going to go and claim it.
Possibly?
Possibly, yes. Possibly, yes. I rest my case.
It depends if I like the game. If I don't like the game, what's the point in claiming it?
All right. We have our next game coming up, I believe. Oh, my gosh. Do I not? I think this is where... WWW, I think. It's like Where Wind Meets. Why doesn't it show me the name of the game? This looks like a more of a Souls-esque game to me. More of along the lines of Rise of the Ronin type of gameplay, but more focused on these boss battles. Everything I saw from it made me want to play it. It reminded me of the China Hero project, Lost Soul aside, which we've still not heard from. But a lot of cool things. I think this game does grab me and it interests me.
It looks great. It's very pretty. It's obviously leaning hard into Japanese culture and mythology, especially with like your giant kois. It's leaning into some Chinese culture, obviously going with the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in the final shot of the trailer. It's very, very interesting. I didn't see a huge amount of gameplay. There were flashes of it, like little, maybe half-second, 1-second moments that looked fun. But again, it's one of those, I need more. It didn't immediately say, yeah, this is fantastical. This is everything you want from life. You must buy and play this game. But it made me sit up and pay attention. Shall we say that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I went onto the website here, so it's a free open world, which I did not see in the trailer. I will see. It says immersive open world aspects. I didn't think I saw in the trailer at all. I only saw boss battles and experience original Wuzai combat, which it did seem there. Maybe they're staying faithful to a certain combat style. Which I think is great for lore building and storytelling. So yeah, it's some interesting aspects you may not have grabbed from the trailer there. And I don't believe we have a release date. Where Winds Meet. I guess it's in development for PS5. So check it out. And you can pre-register right now, so I believe it's also coming out to PC because that's how you're able to pre-register for the beta.
Fair play, fair play. Yeah, could be a good game, but we need more, as with many of these things often is the case.
Now we have something in the remake genre. I have not played this game before, so me being introduced to the experience, I'm intrigued about it. Obviously, there's actors like star powers and actors in the video game itself who play main parts, which bring an extra element to, okay, this could be cool. So what do you think? I know you've probably played and beat the game several times, but would you recommend getting into this? I think we're going to get close to a Halloween release, so I think that would be the perfect time to get into something like this.
The game itself, Until Dawn, is an incredible game. Absolutely brilliant. It's fully playable on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 currently. It can run at 60 frames per second, and somehow this remake looks graphically worse. Like, this looks awful graphically. I don't know what they're doing, what they've done. It looks horrific. Just buy and play the original. I don't think this has got a place in the world at all. It looks shockingly bad. It plays through QuickTime events. It's not going to change through the DualSense controller or anything like that. I'm shocked something that's being called a remake looks this bad. Truly am. It looks awful. Just go for the original.
All right, Doragon. Let's see. Here, I'm pulling up the original one right now. Does it look that bad? Oh, it does look very similar.
Wait till you see some of the character models from the original. They look way better. Way better. The atmosphere is better in the original because everything's not like super shiny and lighted.
Wow, maybe we have a bit of a Last of Us Part 2 situation here where the remake is more for the resale.
Probably it's
you can see slight upgrades, but I feel more or
Bear
less
in mind, this is a
it's
10-year-old game.
yeah,
There should be
it's
more than slight
almost
upgrades.
indistinguishable from the last trailer. That's pretty crazy. 8 years ago.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
and
would
it's coming to
recommend getting the original.
PC. So I don't know if it's come to PC yet. So
It's
that's a
not come
shout
to
on
PC
itself.
before, but if you have PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium, you can. Well, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can play it on the cloud on your PC already.
Yeah. Let's run through these games before we hit the top of the hour. Path of Exile 2 is a what looks to be Diablo, but the animations look more immersive to me. Um, the play style, it seems to be the couch co-op really intrigued me. I thought that was a cool aspect. But yeah, it looks like more Diablo, Path of Exile. How did you feel? Have you played Path of Exile 1 before? I've not played the series, so.
I've not played the series. I've watched a lot of Whipple playing the series, like a lot. And Path of Exile has something to it that the likes of Diablo just don't. It has a depth to it. It has a character build sort of side to it that Diablo just sort of skims the surface of. Path of Exile is one of those ARPGs for those who like their build crafting, who really like to dive deep and get the best out of the game that they possibly can. I think it looks great. If you liked the first one, this looks better than the first one. If you like Diablo, this is going to be one that you could take a bit further than Diablo and put more time into and get more rewards out of it. It's for a very particular type of gamer. I am not that type of gamer, but again, as I've been saying through this whole show so far, variety. It's bringing variety to the console that hasn't been there for a little while now, and that is a fantastic thing. So, all for it.
Path of
Even if I do
Exile
pull my
2.
earphones out.
Early access 2024. So, I mean, you hate to see the early access aspect of it, but nowadays that's how games like to launch. And to be honest, more games need the early access title than ever before on this day and age of launches. We have Silent Hill 2, which we heard about on the last Sony display of games. And of course, it's been anticipated. Now, you can't say that this remake was not needed because this game has been generations, am I right, of PlayStation since
1,
the last release. Yeah, so I believe this is what remakes are for, bringing these old games back to life, giving them brand new meaning, making them relevant, and reliving that horror experience. Now, I've not played the Silent Hill series. The closest thing I've had is that Astrobot with the triangle head coming at me. But the game looks very Resident Evil-esque. It looks horrifying. You're definitely in dark alleys. So if you're a fan of Resident Evil gameplay, I would definitely feel like this is where that came from, right? This is that vein of gameplay.
They were direct competitors on the PlayStation 1, Resident Evil and Silent Hill. I think both twos came out in the same year, if I'm correct. I might be wrong, they might be a year apart, but they came out very, very close together. They got made into arcade games a lot of the time. I think if you've never played a Silent Hill game, you should definitely pick this up and play it. Silent Hill 2 is one of the first times that the psychological horror was brought to consoles, was brought to gaming. I feel it was absolutely incredible that there are narrative twists in this that you can see coming, but most people don't see coming, so they hit really hard. Or if you do guess it, you feel really rewarded by it. As long as they don't change the narrative, I think it'll do well. My only point, and I know Ron might be being facetious in here, but he says like Silent Hill looks very bad. Again, we've had Resident Evil looking incredible with these remakes, and Silent Hill looks like it's 2 generations behind that. I wish it looked better, but as long as it plays okay and it doesn't mess with that seminal story, it's one that people should buy and play. 100%.
Now, Callisto Protocol, you bring that up. It's a melee-based zombie game. I'm not a huge fan, but I will say it looks really well done. So I would say if Silent Hill looked that great, I would definitely hope for something like that. Let's see the next one. Now, you are a much bigger Monster Hunter than I. So I mean, you take this on because my Monster Hunter experience is them getting me to collect mushrooms and I spending like an hour looking around for mushrooms and the whole thing being pointless and then me just getting frustrated.
You just grab the mushrooms as you run by. My first Monster Hunter was Monster Hunter World, and I actually felt very similar to you initially. I was ready to quit the game and sell it on because I was having an awful time initially. But then I got to team up with Wibble, Crash, and Sora, three of my very good friends at the time, and we were on there every night hunting monsters. We were going into higher ranks, we were building amazing gear, we were getting into fantastical builds. It is an addictive gameplay loop, and it is such an amazingly fun social experience. It can be very difficult, it can be very easy, it can be completely and utterly ridiculous. I have a video somewhere of one of us hitting one of the monsters so hard he just flew up into the air and came down on his head 5 seconds later. It is such a fun game. This looks really good. I haven't seen a single repeat monster. There is no monster in there I've seen from other games, whether it's Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter 4, Generations X. I've gone through quite a few of them since playing World as my first one. So there doesn't appear to be any repeats. So these are all new monsters to try and get to grips with, which means new armor sets, new weaponry, new everything in this giant demi-open world. Each area has its own open world feel to it, and each area has different monsters, different biomes, different life. I think the Monster Hunter universe is fantastic. It's nice to see a new one coming primarily to home consoles as like their first port of call, not as a port from Nintendo Switch further down the line. And I think the only downside about this trailer was whoever they had doing the gameplay was awful. They must have chosen the worst player in the world for that gameplay. Like, what Wibble and I do on gameplay looks so much better than that, and it's so much more rewarding to watch and be part of. So to see someone basically noobing it on an official trailer of gameplay was just a bit disappointing, but there is so much depth to these games. I know that this is going to be good. Noobing it on the trailer, it was awful. Playing that was shockingly bad, but outside of that awful player, it looks incredible. This is day one, and I hope it's cross-platform. I hope it's cross-play because I still want to play with Wibble, but he's a PC-only player now, so I'm praying we have cross-play.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Now, for the highlight. The highlight. All right. This is what everybody wanted to see and what everybody got. This was a wish list item from everybody who owns a PlayStation. Team Asobi has created their own Mario, essentially. And they've given him his own personality and his very own story. So they're calling this Astrobots, and it's going to be what do they describe it as? A first telling of his adventures. He's taking on 6 galaxies with 80 levels in search of Astro's scattered crew. Each planet is unique, including lush forests, sandy beaches, hot volcanoes. There's 15 new abilities from the first game, Playroom, and that are going to take advantage of the DualSense Edge. You get Barkster! Alright, if you're not buying the game for Barkster alone, there's something that is off and you should get checked out. The Bulldog Booster lets you air dash and smash through enemies, metals, and glass. They're bringing brand new things like twin frog gloves and giant sponges. So it's really a full-fledged, massive platformer. that is coming to the system, and I think is going to have a large and impressive scope. They're bringing in characters from the entire PlayStation universe. They are obviously going to pay homage to all of the PlayStation memorabilia as you see a PS5 flying through space. I'm excited for it. Everybody who likes PlayStation, I think, is on board for this epic adventure, and this is the day one collector's edition for me. And I don't think I've ever said that before.
You're going all out. Oh my days. It's day one purchase, unequivocally, no question. My only disappointment about this trailer, and it is my only disappointment, is that it's a flat screen game. Astro started life on the PlayStation VR. He was the killer app outside of Beat Saber for the first PSVR. I want Astro on VR again because that experience was incredible. I want more of that, but more Astro full stop. He's killing it at the moment. Every time he steps into the limelight, it's an absolute banger. Day one purchase. Team Asobi can't go wrong, even if it's $70 for the base game. Day one purchase. 100% there, and I think most people will happily drop $70 on it.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be one of the big adventure games. I feel like it's going to be a similar scope to what you see in like Mario 64. It's got that same feeling to me, and I really am looking forward to the platforming fun adventure and all the PlayStation memorabilia they have in the game. Because Astro's Playroom was just fun. It was just good. You were smiling the entire time, and every little bit of detail they had in there was put in there to really celebrate PlayStation.
Yeah, and some games need to remember that. Some studios need to remember that. Games are not about making money. Games are not about lasting forever. A good game, one that does last forever, one that is bought again and again and again and played again and again and again, is one that is just fun. You get that fun factor in games right, you've got an audience for life, and Team Asobi seem to understand that. They've done it twice already. Looks like they're doing it for a third time. They nail it this time. I think we could probably hold them up as one of the best studios in the industry at the moment. This is probably the highlight of the show for me. There's a lot of good out of this show. I think this is the highlight for me. But what about for you? 2 questions. I want you to answer them both. What's your highlight of the show? And what would you score it on a grading system from A being the absolute pinnacle, the best thing Sony have ever done with a state of play, to D being the worst thing they've ever done? So A, B, C, or D, where would you score it? And what was your highlight?
This has been the most exciting state of play for me. The last state of plays didn't necessarily speak to me, so I definitely have to give this one an A tier. I've never come out of a state of play saying I'm going to get the collector's edition of this game. I really have a lot of faith behind Concord. I think it's going to be fun, entertaining, and great for PvP people. Where Wind Meets and the Ballad of Antara both showed awesome boss battles of epic proportions, which is things that I like to see. So there's a lot of great things, and it's probably the best state of play I can say I've seen of late. And
Nice.
the highlight, Astro. I've never wanted a collector's edition of anything. I think it's really going to bring back that old school Mario feeling of enjoying video gaming for just running around, platforming, and beating these bosses and taking down these worlds. So I look forward to getting that feeling back of nostalgia through gameplay.
Nice. For me,
And yeah,
already
yourself.
said my highlight. My score, there wasn't a lot in here for me. I think the best state of play I've ever seen was the October 2022 one, just before the launch of God of War Ragnarok. That just brought 10 games and they were all bangers. It kicked off with Tekken 8 for Pete's sake. Like, that was an incredible state of play. So this can't reach that height, so it can't be an A. But there was something in this showcase for literally every type of gamer. Whatever type of gamer you are, that there was something in this state of play for you. It was a state of play, not a showcase as well. So I wasn't expecting the biggest of the big first-party exclusives that will be catapulting the PlayStation into the second half of its lifespan and what have you. Because it was called the state of play, I was expecting these slightly smaller, more interesting titles. It hit the VR crowd, it hit the horror crowd, it hit the gacha crowd, it hit the free-to-play crowd, it hit the versus crowd, it hit the story crowd, the Souls crowd. I think it was really good. I think it's a solid B experience. A little something for everybody. Didn't speak to me on a ton of different levels, but I appreciate the variety, and I think it defo scored a B. And it seems like most of the chat are coming down. On my side, you've got one person agreeing with you and one person putting it at a C so far. So it feels like it was a solid showing overall.
That's because they're all haters. All right. It is a perfect 10.
Oh, mate, you need to go back watch that 2022. You really do.
It's just because as of late, I don't think I've been paying too much attention. So this has been one of my first experiences hosting the watch through. So yeah, I definitely think this is a cool one, not to be missed.
Nice. Nice.
Well, let's jump in. Oh my gosh, we're already out of time. So let's just briefly touch on Days of Play. So Days of Play is happening right now. Massive sales on a lot of things happening. Is there any highlights you want to take from Days of Play? I saw the PSVR 2 headset was even on sale.
So many.
Anything PlayStation is on sale. You want to pick up a year membership to PS Plus? Now's the time to get it. You want to pick up Gran Turismo 7. I saw that was on sale for almost 50%. Spider-Man 2. Everything is on. Nothing is full price right now, right?
Everything must go. Closing down sale. It almost feels like that, doesn't it? I think there are some incredible things coming from this year's Days of Play. I am disappointed that once again the money off the PlayStation Plus memberships is not for existing members, it's only for new members. That absolutely sucks. Do something for your loyal fans as well, Sony. They deserve it more than people who are just starting out. I know you want to entice people in, but you get people stacking at this time of year, you'll actually end up making more money if you give good rewards to your existing fan base. In terms of the PlayStation VR 2 headset, it's got a price cut that pretty much everybody has been looking for. It's $100 off or 80 quid off at the moment. So it brings it below that 500 mark. It's less than the console at the moment. And that's the version that's including Call of the Mountain, which is an incredible VR experience. Sticking on VR as of tomorrow, so that is the 6th of June 2024, we are finally getting PSVR 2 titles on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, which is incredible. And it's a bunch of games that I've been looking forward to playing anyway. So we've got, I forget what they all are. Ghostbusters is one of them. I believe there's one of the space games, Stellaris or something. There's some incredible experiences. Synth Riders is one as well. An excellent rhythm VR title is part and parcel of that. So tomorrow, 6 games go on to PS Plus Extra and Premium, which is just going to be great. We know what we're getting in terms of the monthly games for both the standard tier of PS Plus and the Extra and Premium tier. There's some great titles coming that way. We're also getting some PS2 exclusives, including one of my partner's all-time favorite games, Tomb Raider Legend. So she's going to be dragging me through that because I've never played Legend before. So she's really looking forward to me playing that and re-experiencing it herself with upgraded frame rates, upgraded graphics, and the option to pause and rewind time. Put a save point in wherever you fancy and rewind to it if needs be, if you've made a mistake on a jump or something. There's a lot coming out of Days of Play this year, and the sales on the store are huge. As you said, things like Gran Turismo 7 are 40-something% off. They're nearly half off. There's some of the best games of the generation for next to no money. Hi-Fi Rush is like £14 here in the UK. That is a lot of high-quality gaming for not a lot of money. Sony have gone hard. The only downside is they've not done anything with PS Plus subscriptions for existing subscribers. That's my big downside. Otherwise, they're doing really well with this Days of Play. There's a lot to get from it. There's some free avatars for your profile as well that you can claim. Just search Days of Play on Google and you'll be able to find every single thing that they've got going on. There's a lot of good there, like a lot of good.
Absolutely. Don't want to miss out on the Days of Play. Wanted to be able to cover that before we headed out. And why don't we let people know? Listen, there was a lot of multiplayer stuff that we saw on the showcase, but don't worry. Sony's most recognizable studios are all still focused on single-player PS5 games. So this obviously had a heavy hand in multiplayer, but we still have... See Fire Sprite. It's a different studio, but they're focused on narrative. Yes. House Marquee, we could be seeing something out of them very shortly. I mean, Returnal released what, 2020? So
2021.
2021. They must be cooking something, if not 3 years away from at least a finished game. Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, as well as Sucker Punch, and we know what Team Asobi is up to. So we got a lot of studios really focused on pumping out that single-player narrative content that everyone has grown to love. And, of course, the photo modes of all these games. So I look forward to it.
It's not just about photo mode. There's more to life than photo mode, dude. Like seriously. This is taken directly from Herman Holst. There was a meeting with him not long after the State of Play. He had like a press conference or something along those lines. He's basically now the head of software for PlayStation. And he's saying, don't worry, right, we're still doing everything you want to do. These are games that are ready to be shown off now. I honestly think we are heading towards a point in September, is my inkling. I've got nothing to back that up. I have no industry insiders. I've got no one on the inside at Sony or PlayStation. There is nobody telling me anything. But I think in September, we are going to have one of the big PlayStation showcases. And that's where we're going to see these games that people want a PlayStation 5 for. We're going to see Naughty Dog come out with something. We are going to see Sucker Punch come out with the next Ghost of Tsushima, I imagine. We're going to see something else from Insomniac because they create bloody everything, don't they? I think around September time, we will have a big showcase. These big single-player exclusive titles that built the PlayStation brand to what it is today will be on show there. And we will all be trying to do backflips in our 30s because we're so excited about what we're seeing. And I will faceplant quite hard if I do try that.
Well, we look forward to it. A lot of stuff coming out of PlayStation, and can't wait. I think you're right. We'll probably get something in the beginning of fall, right before the holiday season, to get people hyped up for the PlayStation. But before we close the doors, there is a video mode, Gem. It's called screen clipping. You can clip 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
I think what they're trying to say for the video mode is one where you can change the angle. So, like, you can currently capture video quite happily just playing a game. Just press that share button, record the last hour sort of thing. It just saves it automatically. I think what they're trying to say is to allow you to change angles in the game so that you can play back your gameplay, but have different camera angles on it so that you can capture different moments in different ways. Similar to what a lot of racing games have. A lot of racing games have some great replay modes, but you don't get them so much, or realistically at all, outside of sports type games, where you can change the camera angle, where you can basically direct your own movie about what you're doing. That would be incredible in games like Destiny, like God of War, where you could change the angle to show off what you, the character, are doing. It would be quite a cool thing. I would like to see it. I know people were joking with it initially, but I'd like to see that. I think it'd be quite a cool implementation. I don't know how feasible it is with like the size of games and what it would take from a mechanics perspective, but that sounds great. bring me a video mode. A video mode for me would be much more interesting than a photo mode.
Well, the one game that would do it if they do it would be Gran Turismo 8. Because, fun fact,
I've already got it in 7.
Gran Turismo 4 was the very first game to implement a photo mode. So there's a fun fact for you.
I remember waiting 8 hours for that to install on my PlayStation 3. Or was that Gran Turismo 5? I think it was 5. 5 took 8 hours to install.
Damn. Well, before we go, there is a new report saying that a PSP 3 is going to be hitting the market sometime in the near future. We have some sort of concept image up here on screen. The report states that it's going to have full PS4 library as well as access to PS5 titles. Which I think is going to be pretty neat. It'll be similar to the Steam Deck, where there'll be patches for it to be optimized for the handheld experience, as well as local play. I mean, that would be mind-blasting. The handheld is rumored to be using AMD to power it. That is the biggest update we've seen in a little bit. This is a concept image. I don't think it'll look like this. I'd like to see it look more like the Portal because I love the ergonomics of the controller. But yeah, here we have it. It's coming soon. I would
not trust this as far as you could throw it.
It's
honestly.
coming. It's coming.
No, it's not. Like, think about it. Let's think. Although, as Wibble said earlier, if we actually start applying sense to these things, it falls apart quite quickly. But in November, they launched the Portal, a handheld streaming device. So it just does remote play to your PlayStation 5. Great thing about that is it works worldwide. As long as you've got a PlayStation 5 and an internet connection and you're logged into the same PSN, it works. What it doesn't do is play anything natively. If you were to play it natively, it would need to change shape. You couldn't have the same ergonomics as the Portal, and Sony have failed drastically in the handheld space previously with the Vita through a distinct lack of support. The PSP was incredible. It had its own unique experiences for the PSP, which made people want to be on it. I had 3 different versions of the PSP through its lifespan. I have 2 PlayStation Vitas. I think they're great in terms of hardware. And I know that if they did make this, it would be great in terms of hardware. But we have seen 6 or 7 different rumors around this in the last 2 to 3 months. And they all say different things. One of them says it's basically a portable PlayStation 5. One of them says it's a cloud device only. Another one like this that you're seeing here says, oh, it'll be PS4 games only, but you can optimize them for PS5 type performance on the handheld. Everything's saying something similar, but just different enough to sound like unique to start getting clicks for the news site. None of them are true. There might be something in development. Sony might be looking at a new dedicated handheld device. But if we were to see that soon, it would make everybody who bought the Portal start to think, what the hell was the point? I mean, the Portal is pointless anyway. It doesn't work. It's a useless piece of plastic. Do not buy one. It's a waste of your money. Your money's better spent elsewhere. So maybe something like this is for the people who actually want something that works. But yeah, just because the rumors are all over the place and everybody's mocking up these AI crap mock-ups that you've got up on the screen now, they've just got a PS Vita with a different color on it. I would not believe anything that you're hearing about this at the moment until there is something more concrete from more trusted industry sources.
Well, there we have it. Doragon with the reality check on the Rudigs rumors. So a lot
it would be nice, but yeah.
a lot in PlayStation this week. We couldn't get to it all, but we appreciate everyone for coming on by. Oh, and if you were looking out for Snake Eater Remake, it was originally scheduled for 2024, but it looks like it's going to be delayed till 2025 due to a known leaker. However, they're telling us we're going to see more at Summer Games Fest, and that's where
we are not seeing it at Summer Games Fest.
Pre-orders with the collector's
Jeff
edition.
Keighley came out today.
Did he?
Keighley came out on Twitter today and said he listed a bunch of games that you would not see at Summer Games Fest.
Why is he bringing the hype down? That was one of our other stories.
Look at how people got hyped for this state of play. It's a state of play. It's a small thing for your side release games. People got so hyped about this, so up in arms that it wasn't the next coming of Christ type thing, that they started crapping all over the state of play, despite it being a really solid showing, despite you and I coming away with like, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. So Jeff has obviously realized that he has had a personal hand in overhyping things in the past and disappointing fans. Now, he should have said this months ago when Summer Games Fest was announced, but he has said today there are certain games that won't be arriving. You will not be seeing many, if any, new releases. Everything is of known titles. There is no GTA 6, there is no Metal Gear Solid Delta, there is no... oh god, what games were there? There were about 8 in the list that people are going to get really hyped about, that they really want to see, that we know are coming, that are not appearing at Summer Games Fest in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, it's... bring your hype levels down for Summer Games Fest because you know of everything that's going to be at it already, according to Jeff himself. And Metal Gear Solid is not one of those games.
Well, there you have it. We're not going to see Metal Gear Solid, so that ends that one. But we'll leave you on some hype. It's still fun to watch video game announcements with your friends, and hopefully we'll have some more release dates or some more on titles we've been looking forward to. So it'll still be good to see, and just don't have your expectations super high, I guess is what we're saying.
Temper them. Know what you're going in for, and you won't be disappointed. And I think that's a good thing to know with all of them. Like, don't go in expecting the second coming, because you're always going to be disappointed. Go in expecting to find 1 or 2 games that you might like, or that might sway you to. And I think you're going to have a great Summer Games Fest if you do that.
Well, there we have it. If you're looking forward to Summer Games Fest, it will be this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe 10, 11 o'clock your time, British time.
Sleep time.
Sleep time. We'll be letting you know what PlayStation things come up on the Summer Games Fest next week at the same time. We will be back, Super PlayStation Bros, giving it to you like we always do with the PlayStation First news. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your support, everybody in chat and people who watch after. Take care, be kind, and play PlayStation.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Try to believe in me. Why try do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me. Oh, finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type but as sick as beats.